makes it another goddamn week, and I don't know when it's gonna end. When is it gonna end? That's the whole point of this competition, is to be the best dancer.
Judges talked about that, but they're like, again, we have to judge based on what we're seeing. I'm like, but she's in the freaking hospital.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
It was an interesting night.
I don't even know where to start.
Both on the show, in our live stream.
The monster sure came out tonight. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, it was definitely a spooky Halloween night.
Halloween night on Dancing with the Stars is usually one of my favorites. I feel like a lot of the best dances usually come out on Halloween night. I was let down.
There was something in the air that was just off. Like, I don't love the themes all the time, but like Halloween night is like the one theme that I really appreciate because it gets everyone really creative. You
see a lot of like energy and stories in Halloween night that you're not gonna get at any other point in the competition. You know, you're not gonna get these spooky, scary things.
I don't know. I felt like it was like kind of like let down after let down, and there was some more drama on the show, off the show, in the lot. Like,
maybe it was the fact that Elaine was injured, and that just brought bad juju all around.
It threw everything off. Just this like wonderful, sweet, shining soul of Elaine wasn't there, and it really messed everything up. I feel terrible for her. I would have been devastated if she went home because, oh my gosh, I'm sure she would have had one of the best movies. I'm just so thankful that she did not go home tonight.
Me too. I was stressed at that final three.
It was stressful because Andy wasn't in the bottom three this week. Well, like, he wasn't shown in the bottom three.
And so our final three were Elaine, Jen, and Whitney.
Whitney, because there was some drama with Whitney this week as well.
The audience votes are starting to really piss me off, you guys. And I know that there's so many people that are trying to get Whitney out for some reason because they don't like her. But like, I don't really understand why you don't like her other than the fact that she's good. Sorry that she's good. If it was anyone but Jen that went in that final three, I would have
been sad because Elaine did not deserve to go home. Whitney doesn't, I know people don't like Whitney, she doesn't deserve to go home. People don't like her, I think, to begin with, because wasn't she like the villain of Mormon Wives or whatever? She also has dance experience, blah, blah. And also, her and Mark tried to do a giveaway this week where they gave away tickets to the live show tonight. Then they had to revoke the giveaway because they weren't allowed by production. So people are pissed at them for this.
About that.
People are pissed at them this week because they think it was a way for them to try to win some audience votes. But then the next day they're like, hey guys, production just let us know that we're not allowed to give away tickets, so no more giveaway. And then people were pissed at them for that.
I feel like Mark should have known that they weren't allowed to do that.
That's what people are saying. Like, they're like, shouldn't Mark know that he can't, or shouldn't they have checked that they weren't allowed to do that before they attempted to do this giveaway? So people are also pissed at them this week for that.
I just feel like a lot of this hate is just because she's good. And like, why are we, that's the whole point of this competition, is to be the best dancer. And I know a lot of people are talking about favoritism towards Mark, specifically from the judges. I think people are most worried about Derek and Mark being besties or whatever. But I will say that like Derek's scoring towards Mark and Whitney has not been any higher than the other judges.
I think tonight the scores were super consistent across the judges, and Cheryl was there. And I think everyone was pretty on par with Cheryl. Sometimes Cheryl scored people a little lower, but...
Now here's the thing, you guys. I actually really appreciate Cheryl's scoring tonight because, as she kind of stated a couple of times, she was scoring very much based off of style and technique. It seemed like she was scoring the way that they would be scored in an actual professional ballroom competition. I totally respect, and I think that's how like the judges should be scoring. I think some of our routine judges have kind of gotten into this little bit more relaxed flow of, oh, well, this is Dancing with the Stars, and like we'll give a little bit more leeway because it's fun, and like
I feel like that's what the voting is for, is to add the leeway.
I want to see the judges score based off of style. Like, if they broke hold and they weren't supposed to break hold, then take some points off for that. Like, that I felt like that's what Cheryl was doing. So
I really appreciate it.
It gave me a little bit of insight. I felt like Cheryl's score was what they would have gotten in an actual competition. And then we could kind of compare that to what the other judges were giving. In general, let's just make this statement. us sitting here and talking about this, us discussing on our live, anybody who may be commenting on anything, like, we all have our own opinions. We are all have a right to our own opinions. We don't need to be going around bashing other people's opinions. We're all just having fun, enjoying our show, and discussing.
Yes.
It's not that serious.
That's all it needs to be.
I liked Cheryl.
She would say before each note, moving forward. So it's like, wasn't super style specific. Like, there were things that they could take forward, which I really do appreciate.
There's probably a big difference in, like, the view of some of our guest judges on whether you're a new fan of the show or you're an old fan of the show. Just in the sense that, like, if you only are just tuning into the show this year, or maybe in the last 2 years or something, like, you probably have no idea who Cheryl Burke is. Who's this person that's judging and being more critical? Versus, like, the people who've been watching the show for a really long time, they see Cheryl Burke and they're like, oh my gosh, Cheryl Burke. I mean, she's like one of the biggest pros that was on this show for so long. It's just something to point out that, like, people are going to have different views based on if they watched her on the show or not. Not only do we have all the dances tonight, but they also brought back the Monsterthon. This dance-a-thon used to be something that they did, like, every season, and they haven't done it in a while.
No,
I always got really excited about the dance-a-thon because it was usually swing styles. And this is just, like, totally biased, like, personal experience. I've been swing dancing since I was 11 years old, and I love it. And so it's like the one style that comes on and I'm like, okay, I actually know what's going on. You know, I can speculate about Argentine tango and about foxtrot, but the swing comes on and I'm like, wait, like, this is what I actually know.
And I loved it because it's like mimicking a more competition of sorts. People get tapped out and, like, they're on the floor at the same time, and it's really fun. It keeps it interesting,
but we'll get there because that came at the very end. We started the night with Whitney, and Whitney did a jazz.
I was so excited for this initially because, again,
Me too.
I don't love jazz on the show. I'll give it to contemporary because they're always really cool. Jazz, I just want to see more traditional ballroom and Latin styles on the show. That is my personal opinion. Jazz gets a little wonky because it's a ballroom show. But I was expecting a lot from Whitney and Mark. Mark is very creative. I'm like, he can do absolutely anything with jazz. He can practically do absolutely anything with Whitney. I know it'll be super wacky and creative. And honestly, especially for an opening to the show, I was a little bummed out by this one.
It let me down a little bit. I wasn't super impressed. They've been at the top of the leaderboard this whole competition. Like, they're very strong dancers. We all have seen it. So I was expecting a lot, especially from a style where they basically had no limitations. They could have done whatever they wanted. I was expecting it to be grandiose and, like, all over the place and, like, have so much content. And I thought it lacked complicated choreo.
No, like, so much of it was just like hand stop. We started on the bed, we got up, we did
some
hand stop.
What was with all this?
I was just so much of that, and I felt like I was waiting the whole dance for, like, it to start. And then it was over, which I was really confused about from this pair. And then they got really high scores for it.
They got 3 9s and a 10. I just, like, based on what they've done, like, I expected so much more from them when they had no rules.
And it really set the tone for the night, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Because following her, Jordan with a contemporary, we literally said here last week, I was like, I really hope that Jordan and Ezra do a contemporary for Halloween night because it's gonna be so good. Maybe my hopes were too high. I don't know.
No, I think they were reasonable.
I thought they were gonna blow it out of the water. I think Ezra shot for the stars and it just missed the mark.
And I think it's a lesson learned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he took a risk versus, like, the first one, I think, didn't. They used a harness, which made, like, elastic hard. There was, like, kind of elastic. I don't even know. It looked like she was just kind of flailing and not in a cool artistic way. And I'm like, I think it would have been so much cooler had they just had themselves. They're so capable by themselves. Especially when you got freaking Jordan Childs in a contemporary. I just, like, it was limiting and difficult. Like, I thought Jordan was great, but, like, it just felt like there was a harness in the way of their dance.
And I just really don't think they needed the gimmick, the prop, to do a fabulous dance. I think their dance, I honestly think they would have been able to do way cooler choreo without it. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. Like, when you look at all the rest of the dances for the night, that also kind of bummed me out. It was still one of the good ones.
So they got 2 8s and 2 9s. In general, we had lower scores this week than we had last week. We were starting to get a handful of 9s last week and a couple of 10s thrown in there. But this week we had still some 9s, still some 10s, some new 10s, but also we got a lot of 8s. And I would guess that we had more 8s this week than we had last week.
So it's like 2 people right off the gate, just that I expected to be really good tonight. Just no. And again, it really set the tone for the night. Because after that, I guess, was Andy. Happy birthday, by the way.
Andy, with our first Paso Doble. Happy birthday, Andy.
Happy birthday, Andy. You've made it another...
He makes it another goddamn week, and I don't know when it's gonna end. When is it gonna end?
I fear it won't, honestly, at this point. He could be in it for the long haul.
I'm feeling defeated, and I'm feeling like there's no way to beat them. I know that so many of these Andy votes are people not even watching the show. That's what really pisses me off, is the idea that there are so many people who are not even watching that are voting for him just for shits and giggles. And I'm like, yo.
I loved his performance more last week. Last week's choreo was easier. This was a bit more difficult for him.
It did challenge him. I think this was his most challenging dance so far.
Which I appreciate seeing that.
And it's his highest scores so far.
The fog hit a lot of it, I will say.
And I feel like that was intentional.
It felt strategic.
There was a lot of fog on the stage, and it caused you to not really be able to see what his feet were doing a lot of the time. From what I know about Paso Doble, which I will say, I feel like Paso Doble is one of the styles that I actually know very little about the exact technique and the rules as far as the minor things. But what I do know is that it's always very strong, very punchy and sharp, and I felt like he didn't have the strength of a Paso Doble.
It felt quite slow.
It was slow. I didn't feel the oomph, and I felt like also there were some steps at some point, and I don't know what the steps were supposed to look like, but it looked like he was galloping.
I think his performance usually wins people over, but I don't see this one winning people over as much.
4 7s, yeah. I mean, I gave him a 6, but what do I know? Obviously nothing. Poor Elaine. I feel so bad for her, and I hope that she's okay. It was announced at the beginning of the episode that Elaine was not there because she had been injured during dress rehearsal that morning and was in the hospital. Obviously, they knew that she wasn't injured enough to immediately pull her from the... I mean, because if it had been an injury, like she had like broken her ankle or something, then they would have been like, unfortunately, she's not going to be able to dance for the rest of the time and she's out. But they didn't say that. They said she's still in the competition. You'll still get a chance, like, still vote for her. But they also didn't immediately put her through either. She was still at risk of elimination, which I thought was interesting. I don't know. I feel like she should have just been safe for this week. Is that wrong? I love the way that they showed her dance. They showed the rehearsal video of her dance, I think, from camera blocking day yesterday. And so we still got to see her dance. She wasn't performing full out, it was just rehearsal, and she talked about how she was already injured. I think we should have still been able to vote. I just think she should have been put through to the next week.
I have a lot of frustrations with the way that they handled this, but I'm not sure they could have handled it any better. Because, like, again, they showed us one of their rehearsal videos, And of course she wasn't performing full out. She was doing the moves, but like, we know Elaine, and the judges said this, so like, we know if she was out here tonight, she would have completely attacked this. That being said, we have to judge it based on what we're seeing. But I'm like,
do you?
Do you have to do it exactly based on what you're saying? Because she's obviously not performing it in the slot. Like, her head is down, like, whatever, because she is not freaking performing.
She was being careful too. She already knew that she was injured, so she's not only in rehearsal and so not performing it full out because she's in rehearsal, but she's injured, so she's trying to be careful and save her performance for the day, which obviously she never made it to, but like.
And that being said, I think it was still one of the better dances of the night.
Still incredible.
I think if she came out here, and the judges said this too, if she came out here doing that dance and attacked it like we know Elaine can do, even if she was a little injured, she would at least have like performed in her face a little bit. I think it would have been one of the best dances of the night. The content was there. She did a good job with the technique. The choreography was great.
She missed out on her 10s last week, and I feel like she could have gotten them with this one if she had been there.
Alan looked gutted. It looked like her best dance of the night, and the energy would have been insane, and the judges talked about that, but they're like, again, we have to judge based on what we're seeing. I'm like, but she's in the freaking hospital. I'm just so thankful that she's there, and people came through and voted for her, because she was like just above Andy on the leaderboard because of all of this.
She had 4 8s, which put her as the second lowest score tonight.
Scared the crap out of me.
I think everybody kind of had the same mindset as us. That was like, this is horrible, she's injured, this isn't fair. 10 votes put her through.
Yeah, the people were like in our comment section, I do appreciate, they were very much, seemed like they were rallying behind Elaine and were like, I'm getting my parents to vote for Elaine and blah blah blah, which I appreciate.
Poor girl. She just like doesn't deserve to go home over.
No, because she's one of the
injury.
Strongest after such a phenomenal week last week. Oh my gosh, I'm just thrilled that she's through.
But yeah, I mean, from what we saw, her dance looked like it would have been incredible.
It would have been really good.
Alan said that she's determined to come back and continue dancing. I mean, she was only put in the hospital today, so it's probably a waiting game to see if she'll actually be able to heal.
If she's back next week still, she's probably not going to get enough or adequate rehearsal time in comparison to the other contestants.
I can't imagine that she's going to be out of the hospital and back rehearsing full time tomorrow. So I really hope that she has a speedy recovery. Seems like she's been having a handful of injuries. Like, she's talking about her foot, but this was her rib. I'm very excited to see that she's continuing. We then had Danielle, which maybe I didn't catch all of it. I thought that the dance, I was a little surprised by the judges' comments and scores, but maybe I just like missed what they were seeing. I agree with, I think it was Cheryl that talked about she just needed overall more energy through all of her limbs and like kind of accentuating every movement, but then also bringing it across her face as well.
Yeah, I felt like she was really wrapped up in the character. I thought I saw the character a lot in her face, but I feel like that was her driving force behind this. I thought, because Beanie's waltz, right? Like, it's like very like using the space, and I thought her arms looked a little janky and angular for the sake of the character, and that she wasn't taking up a lot. Like, there was power, but like not in the style of like Vianney's waltz. It's like Vianney's waltz steps, but then she was just trying to like, that wasn't the sole purpose of the dance for her. It was like telling the story, which is important, but like it didn't feel quite like a...
The story felt a little disconnected at points.
Yeah.
Like almost like we were going from one thing and then suddenly they're like, plot twist.
Yeah, which
it just made the dance then feel disconnected. I felt like almost like we ended one dance and we jumped into a different dance.
I think the passion was there, but maybe not directed in all the right places.
I love her so much, and I hope that she bumps it back up next week, because last week her dance was incredible. Otherwise, I think she might be at risk of going home soon.
I know.
Which is just the name of the game, but also I love her so much.
We liked Danielle. She got 3 8s and a 9.
Then we had Robert. I feel like we have different opinions on Robert.
This was a little controversial in the comment section, I will say.
I was getting some hate.
You got a little flamed. like, this is the point in our comment section where I feel like we were really starting to see some of the creepy crawlies come out a little bit on Halloween night. I need a moderator on this thing. Like, I'm like trying to watch the dances, I'm trying to take notes and like talk. It's just a lot of moving pieces.
I'll just also say, like, if you don't have interest in like hearing our thoughts and opinions,
Then don't come to our
then
live.
don't watch our live.
So, don't
Like-
come into our live and hate on us talking about the show that we're watching and sharing with you. If you don't like what we have to say, you can go to someone else's. Don't yell at me, and don't yell at Desi on our very own live. Please and thank you.
Correct. And I will apologize because I know that I get excited and I get direct.
Passionate. Yeah.
And I promise that I don't mean anything of it. You've seen it on here where I just will say things and then I'll go, oh, that sounded mean. I'm sorry. I'm not out here trying to be rude or be any sort of way towards anyone. And okay, Robert did an Argentine tango. From what I saw, I loved it. I thought it was really strong and sharp. I felt like he was a really good bass and leading man to the Argentine tango, but I also see where a lot of other people were coming from, where they felt like there was more highlighted of Whitney than of him.
No, I was watching this and I was like, Whitney's doing a lot of freaking stuff and he's just standing there. But like, I don't know that much about the whatevers of Argentine tango. Like, I know what it looks like with the duo, but when you break it down to female male, I'm like, I don't know the role of everyone. But I will say, if she's doing all these flippy thingies really, and he's not moving and doing a really good job of the bass, then I think that means he's doing what he's supposed to do.
That's what I also feel like again, I'm not trained in Argentine tango, but from what I've witnessed from watching so many, it feels like it's very much the female flicks legs, lifts, etc. And the job of the male or the leader follower is to be the support, the base, the control on it all. But like, if we were to compare this one to Danielle and Pasha's last week, based on the idea of like how much the male is doing, I feel like it's very similar. And Pasha being a pro at what he's doing, I felt like Robert was on a similar level as far as the content.
Robert did do his little flickies, of course, because he has to do some stuff. I thought they could have been a little sharper, but like, he did a good job with them. So
this is also one that I am really interested to go watch again. I felt like this night in general, there was a lot of production design elements that had me distracted, whether it was fog or set pieces or just like something else moving that I was like, wait, hold on.
I will say, I feel like my favorite part about the dance though was the ending, which no one's dancing. It was just he was being drawn into like the darkness, which I don't know if that's a good thing, but I think he absolutely killed that character.
And I really liked the beginning too. And that's the other thing, character. It was really interesting to see Robert as like a dark character.
I really liked it. I think he did a great job with that.
I'm very happy that he got a 10. Yes, Robert, 2 of them. So he got 2 10s and 2 9s. I thought that we were going to see a perfect score tonight. But of course, we already talked about the fact that we had high hopes for Halloween night that didn't pan out.
I would be shocked if we didn't get any next week.
I actually overall really appreciate the scoring that they've been doing this season. From the very beginning, they kind of said night 1, they were like, we're going to start with lower scores to give you more room to grow. And now we're like past the midway point. I mean, we only have 3 weeks left until finale.
Oh, dang.
And we haven't gotten a perfect score yet. And I feel like usually we do. And on top of that, everybody's talking about how outstanding this cast is. Like, the talent this season is incredible. And so the fact that we haven't yet gotten a perfect score when we only have a few weeks left, I actually really appreciate, because I feel like we're not jumping to perfect scores and suddenly everybody's getting 30s.
And whoever gets his first perfect score, I feel as though is really, really, really going to deserve it. Which will be very satisfying, and it's gonna keep them on their toes and keep working. Ugh.
We were so close this week. And I also think a part of it is the fact that it's the first week that they had to learn more than one dance. Everybody had less rehearsal time than they are used to, because they also then had to train for the Monsterthon. Jen went home tonight, which I'm not really surprised by.
No, she was one of the ones
I already kind of said, I was like, okay, if Andy's not going home,
it will be Jen.
I'm not mad about it, other than the fact that I'm mad that Andy's still here. She never impressed me.
There were moments of this dance that I actually really liked.
I agree. I thought this dance was a big improvement for her. I felt like there was a lack of content. By the time it ended, I was like, oh, that's it?
Yeah. I thought the transitions were a little slow. There were some moments that I thought she did a good job, but there was like a section, I think, in the middle that was more contemporary-esque that I really liked. But like, she just doesn't seem to have much power throughout her body, and like, I want to see energy and storytelling and passion, and I feel like her energy is just kind of the same, and I want to see a journey.
Yeah, and I feel like she's one of those that like, she's at the point where she's just not, she's improving, but she's just not, she's not improving at the rate that everybody else is. And like I said, she never had one dance that like really impressed me. She had 4 8s, sorry, which had her tied with Elaine, and Elaine didn't even dance.
Next was Alex. One of my more favorites of the night. This is what I was expecting.
This
from
was outstanding. I loved in her package when she was like, Val, I want you to go hard on me. And everybody was saying vintage Val is back.
Thank goodness.
Honestly, like, if I was on the show, that's what I would want too.
I want to dominate.
Yell at me, drill me to the ground. Like, I want the coaching that's gonna make me be the best out there. And boy, did it work.
She's a competitor. This is, even though they were dirty and grimy, I love the beginning, love the ending, by the way, the dance. This dance felt like a breath of fresh air, because like, this is what I expected from everyone on Halloween night.
This was so good. Oh, I loved the choreography. I loved the energy. I loved everything about it. The only reason it didn't get a perfect score, which again, I appreciate Cheryl's scoring.
I really appreciate.
She scored it a 9 while everybody else gave it a 10, because she said that they broke hold in the middle, and they're not supposed to, like in traditional international tango, they're not supposed to break hold. So she took off a point for that, which I feel like is fair. The one thing I will say is that like, from a choreography standpoint, some people in our comments were like, well, I don't think she should lose points because of Val's choreography.
No, chat was like pissed.
But like, that's the rule. The pros may be getting mixed messages about what's acceptable and such. If our standard judges have been like, okay, like, we'll give a little bit of space for creativity, but then a guest judge comes in and is like, nope, how are they supposed to know when they're choreographing the dance the week prior that the guest judge is going to be so particular about it sticking exactly to the style?
Cheryl was very like on like sticking to the traditional styles, which I really appreciate, because none of the judges on the panel are doing that. They're all kind of loosey-goosey.
If Val had known that Cheryl was going to judge that way versus the other judges, he definitely would not have done it. He would have stuck exactly, because we all know Val too. Like, he would have stuck to the style. So 3 10s and a 9. She's only 1 point off from that perfect score.
The chat was pissed at Cheryl though, which they were going off.
Sorry, not sorry, but I'm not mad at Cheryl. Like, I thought she was great. I thought she was giving really actually good feedback and judging the way that all the other judges should be judging. The reason that I think it's important to stick to judging based off of style and technique is because if you're not, like, at what point do you draw the line?
It's confusing.
it's not fair either. So I would much rather them say, no, we are sticking to the rules and the regulations and the technique and the style. And if you don't follow it, you're getting points taken off. Because then it's just the same for everybody. There's no letting something slide because, oh, well, it was worth it this time.
Because people are getting mad about favoritism right now, bias and scoring. But if we have a more tangible way that we're scoring things, we can avoid some of that.
I want, as a viewer and as somebody that's not an expert in ballroom, I would love a rundown on all the rules of each style so that I can watch a Paso Doble and have seen Derek's video about what to look out for on what's a standard Paso Doble and what's not allowed. Maybe they do it in the show. They don't have a whole lot of time. So I'm like, they're big on social media now. I feel like it could be like social media clips. Bring the troupe in and like post some videos talking about like the actual rules and techniques of each style so that us as viewers can look and can judge and vote if we so choose to based off of the style.
I personally would find it really helpful, so I'm not going off of vibes because I want to know technique.
I'm out here trying to judge on like technique and stuff. I'm like trying to learn as much as I can just from watching over the years.
I want to learn.
And then everybody's out here like, what do you know about dance? I'm like, you're right. You know what? You're right. I'm not an expert, but I would love to be taught more.
What do I know?
And maybe that's just a dancer thing, you know, as dancers trained in other styles, not in ballroom, like we're interested in learning the things about these other styles. Because also, I think there's a lot of viewers that don't understand like why certain dances are being scored less than others or whatever it might be. They're like, well, why? I thought that this one was better. Why is it not being scored higher? And it's like, well, it's because you may have like enjoyed it more, but it didn't actually follow the rules of the style that they were supposed to be doing.
And you can take it or leave it, but here's at least some understanding. And I also like to learn. Like, I'm watching the show, I've watched the show for a while, but I'm like, do I really know what I'm watching? Not really. Would I like to? Yes, of course. But you won't tell me what the heck I'm supposed to be looking for, which is why I appreciate Emma and Andy's weekly videos where they're talking about the technique. So when I went to Andy's video or Andy's dance, I knew what I was looking for and I knew what he had been working on all week, and I could see, oh, did he do that? Did he do that?
I mean, that's why everybody loves like Sharna's videos and stuff, because
people
she's
eat them
going
up.
in and like she's like breaking them all down by the rules of the styles and teaching us what it is about each dance that like followed or broke rules or like why it would get certain scores, etc., etc.
What that would be helpful for me is the next dance, which is Dylan's
Viennese waltz.
Based off of vibes, I thought the hold was a little sloppy, but no one said anything about that. So I'm like, am I looking at this incorrect? Because I know the holds are a bit different, but it just looked like it was like sagging.
I even wrote that down because Derek specifically said, he's like, your frame at some points was dropping down. Make sure to keep it up.
Dance vibes, cool. His feet are moving really fast. He was really going across the floor. There was a lot of power that I really enjoyed. But the whole time, his elbows are down here. Me not knowing much about Viennese waltz, I'm like, this doesn't look right. I think all the holds, I don't think there's one that looks like this. Do I know that for sure? No, I do not. I would like to know those things. So that was my biggest issue. I thought the power was great. I thought the footwork was really fast. Fast doesn't always mean good, but I thought there was a lot of power to it. But the whole just like was driving me actually nuts.
I initially wrote down incredible, best of the night. Like my initial reaction was like, whoa. But maybe that's just because I was like impressed right at the beginning and then forgot to like really pay attention.
He just came out of the bat like swinging, like in terms of power and speed. I
know,
really
and I was
impressive.
like, wow.
It felt a little sloppy.
I think he kind of peacocked it at the beginning, and then that kind of held me through for the whole thing, and it made me forget to look at the important stuff. He got 3 9s and an 8. Yeah, so he closed out our standard dances, and we moved into the Monsterthon. Did you catch? I know that they had to learn 2 styles. 2 styles that are not styles that they dance in their regular dances for the whole season. I know the second one was the Lindy Hop. They started with the hustle. I'm just familiar with the hustle as the line dance. Do the hustle. I'm sure it's related in some way, but it's very free form. I mean, I think they're both variations of swing in ways. But yeah, so it's everybody on the floor at the same time. Everybody starts dancing. They were dancing to Murder on the Dance Floor to start. And as they just have to keep going.
Oh,
and at some point the judges will come in and like tap a couple out.
I love the Grim Reaper. It's always so fun.
The troop is the Grim Reapers chasing people off stage.
I would love to have that job.
If you're a viewer who's trying to like judge, impossible.
There's so much going on. Andy got it first.
But they awarded bonus points based on like how long you lasted. I'm trained in I know Lindy Hop swing, and I've been learning country swing lately.
Ooh, fun.
You would love swing. It's so fun.
Literally, I think I would eat it up.
We got down to the end. When they had the final two is when they stopped the music. And we had to sit there and wait for the judges to decide who won.
What the heck was going on?
It was between Whitney and Alex.
I wanted Alex to win, to be honest.
I wanted Alex to win so bad. I don't think we're all that surprised that Whitney won. Again, it's just a little boring that Whitney's at the top every time. Again, I don't want her to go home.
I don't want her to go home.
I'm not out here a Whitney hater saying that she deserves to go home because she's good. I thought it was really funny when they stopped and they were waiting for the judges to decide.
Yeah.
And Val and Mark started.
They started doing the.
Val and Mark started messing with each other.
That's the move that they've been doing on social media all week.
What?
Yeah. Literally, there's a TikTok of Alex and Val doing it. And then I think Val and Mark did it. And then Alex and Jenna did it.
I didn't see that. That's really funny.
It's so funny. It's kind of been like a saga all week.
It was a great way to keep us entertained while we were waiting for the chaos of the judges. Either way, I really enjoyed the Monsterthon. Again, I'm biased because I love seeing swing. I know that if I was ever on the show, I would be like, you better let me swing dance at some point.
If you had a freestyle, you could throw it in there. That was Halloween night. It was a little spooky in not a good way. A little bit of a bummer, but I was gonna say I'm hopeful for next week, but next week is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame night. I'm still traumatized from last year.
Yeah, we did hair metal night last year, which I feel like is kind of the same thing.
That was kind of a mess.
I will say, just as far as themes go, I do think a theme like this is kind of the better route because it's just kind of like it's a bit more of a general music genre.
I'm hopeful we'll get some pastas though. I want a good pasta.
Anyway, we will see you all next week. Also, this is your warning. Watch yourself in our comments or you're gonna get booted. Anyway, we love you. Thanks for joining us. I feel like my wand has been very distracting. Happy Halloween!